Hey, I did not see you there. Welcome in to our second episode of Stuff with FROZZ. Welcome everybody, my name is FROZZ. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the new content for Dead by Daylight. Currently the public test build, also called PTB, is out. You can test the new changes, the new chapter number 14 that is coming out soon in December 2019. Everybody who's watching this from the future, welcome in. So we're gonna have 2 points we want to talk about. A little bit about the PTB itself, and the other thing is the new perks of the survivor. Yui, let's go. Let's start. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is some patch notes content. So, really important feature, guys, that is common with the new chapter is that disconnections will be penalized. So that means if people will disconnect from your game, they will have a temporary matchmaking ban, which is absolutely incredible. I love this change. I've waited for it for such a long time, and so they will finally implement a mechanic that bans players who disconnect often. Really great. I love it. That's the first point. They added the new killer Oni. They added a new survivor Yui Kimura and a new map as well, which is really exciting, and I really can't wait to test more of that and play more survivor or killer. The next thing I want to talk about is the protection hits. So everybody knows that at the moment protection hits, for example, talking about the perk Metal of Men, they're not really working. It's really, Metal of Men became a trash perk because the protection hits just do not work. That's just it. So they changed that, and I think it's kind of interesting because it might have a good impact on altruistic games. It might have a big impact on altruistic playstyles, especially talking about one of our new perks of Yui that we will talk about in a minute. So protection hits have been changed. Now you can have the protection hit score event every 3 seconds instead of every 20 seconds, which is absolutely amazing. I love this change, and I hope it really works now. There will be also Legion changes and Spirit changes. Spirit got nerfed just a little bit. You will not have collision if you face walk, if you use your Spirit ability, and this allows just a little bit more counterplay, but it still does not solve the issue that survivors just most of the time have no idea. The survivors have no idea what the Spirit is doing at the moment. Is she face walking or not? This is a big problem because it's kind of like a coin flip. You just have no chance in knowing what the Spirit is doing at the moment. Usually as a Spirit player, you just wait until the survivors make their move and then you start using your ability. It is in theory outplayable, but I think its outplay potential is based on coin flips. Not too good. I think they need to get a bigger nerf where you can actually see have just a little bit more of knowledge when the Spirit is face walking. Talking about the Legion changes, he will be faster in his ability, in his Feral Frenzy ability. He will vault faster, which is also really good and makes him more viable. They changed his add-ons a little bit. A big change for Legion is that usually if you used to attack a survivor in your Feral Frenzy ability, you used to get a stack with Save the Best for Last if you have the perk Save the Best for Last equipped. This will no longer apply. It says attacking while in Feral Frenzy will no longer be a basic attack. So that's it. They removed it. That's a really important fact to know. So Legion runs faster now in his ability, vaults faster, and they did some changes to his add-ons. We're gonna monitor that for the future. Another important feature that I want to talk about is that some perks have been changed. The first one is Balanced Landing, and I think it's a good change because the perk on certain maps is really strong. What did they change? If you use your Balanced Landing and you drop down, you get your sprint burst, the anti-staggering effect, and you're exhausted. Usually, even if you were exhausted, you will still have the anti-staggering effect of 75%. This has been changed now. Now if you're exhausted, you will not have the anti-staggering effect anymore, which is really good for killers if you don't have the anti-staggering effect. The second perk I want to talk about is Kindred. It also has been changed. I don't really see what exactly changed. It doesn't sound like something has changed, but maybe they just activated the R reading ability for Kindred on every single level of Kindred, on every single tier. Every survivor can see everybody else on the map. I don't see what the exact change is here. The third perk is, and this is kind of meme perk, No One Left Behind. This perk used to be absolute trash, 100% useless. Now it works like this. When the exit gates are open, you will receive 50, 75 or 100% bonus blood points for healing and unhooking survivors. At the same time, healing and unhooking survivors will be performed up to 50% faster. And you can also, and this is kind of important, see the auras of other survivors. So I think it works like Kindred now if the exit gates are open and you have this perk equipped. So faster altruism speed for unhooking and healing, and also you have vision on your allies, which is really good. I like this change. I don't think it's super strong, but it's a beginning. It's a start for getting this perk back up into a good direction. So I'm gonna give the Balanced Landing changes 3 out of 5 Frozzard poggers. I'm gonna give the Balanced Landing changes 3 out of... I'm gonna give the Balanced Landing changes an 8 out of 10 Frozzard poggers. Really good changes. All right, I'm gonna give the Kindred changes a question mark out of 10 Frozzard poggers, and the No One Left Behind changes an 8 out of 10 Frozzard poggers as well. I'm gonna give the No One Left Behind perk changes 7 out of 10 Frozzard poggers, because there's still some work to be done with this perk, but they go into the right direction, and I think it's a good change for this. It's a good change for the start. A new survivor is coming to Dead by Daylight in chapter 14. It's gonna be Yui Kimura. I'm not gonna go into details about her story. You can read it on the Dead by Daylight PTB if you want. Just press F1 and you can see her backstory here. But we will talk about her perks, and I really like some of these new features that the devs implemented. So the first perk, Lucky Break, works like this. If you are injured, this perk will activate. You will not leave trails of blood behind for, I guess, 160 seconds on tier 3 on the max level. But it only works once per trial. That means, as it says here, it's permanently deactivated for the remainder of the trial once the total duration has elapsed. So it just works once. I think it can work quite well if you get tunneled or something and help you get away from the killer. Especially if you combine it with Iron Will, you will probably have more success in getting rid of the killer in a chase. So I will give this perk a 5 out of 10 Frozzard poggers. I think it's not really strong. It can help if you are a 200 IQ survivor and you have some good perks that such as Iron Will or Dance With Me, where your scratch marks will disappear after fast vaulting, and with Iron Will, no grunts of pain if you're injured, and also with Lucky Break, no blood trails. So this could be a super effective perk for once in a game, and increases the chances of escaping in a chase. Although you can only use it once. You can only use it once per trial. Even though the duration is kind of long, it still is not a necessary perk. I think it's still not a super strong perk. The second perk is called Any Means Necessary. This perk works like this. If you drop a pallet as a survivor, you can pick up this pallet. You can pick up this pallet by pressing the action button, and after 3 seconds pressing this action button, you will get the pallet back to its original spot. If it's not destroyed, of course. You cannot restore destroyed pallets, only if they have been dropped. That's how this game, that's how this perk works. But you have a little cooldown on this perk. It's over 160 seconds, at least for the teachable. I think it's 180 for the, or 200 seconds for the tier 3 perk level. And I'm gonna give this perk a 6 out of 10 Frozzard Poggers and 10 out of 10 Frozzardgasm, because it's a super fun perk. This is a new mechanic in the game. It can change the game entirely if you play against a bloodlusting killer, which can happen sometimes. So your friends, if they run this perk, Any Means Necessary, they will be able to pick up the pallets again. If the killer does not break the pallets, you or your team can pick up these pallets again and make them viable again, which is really great. Although I think most of the killer will immediately break the pallets depending on the situation. So if the killer always breaks the pallets, you will have 0 use out of this perk. So that's why I just give it 6 out of 10 Frozzard Poggers. The third and last perk is Breakout, and it works like this. When you are within 6 meters of the killer having a person on his shoulder carrying to a hook or something, you will get the haste status effect. You guys might know this from the Hope perk. You will move 5% faster. You will have 5% increased movement speed if you are within a 6 meter radius. And if you are within this radius, you also increase the survivor on the killer's shoulders wiggle speed by 20% at least. I think this perk is really good if you play in a survivor friends group and you all communicate over Discord or TeamSpeak or whatnot, and you can like take a hit for your mate and, you know, save him from getting hooked potentially. Together, and this is what I talked about in the beginning, together with the hit protection score event, this could be really effective, because now Metal of Man could maybe be a little bit more viable. You have now the option to trigger the hit protection score event every 3 seconds instead of every 20 seconds. So this means it encourages survivors to take a hit for you if you get carried to the hook. 20% faster wiggling speed is really amazing, and faster movement speed for the survivors with the haste status effect adds up to a great perk. I think this could be, in a good survivor friends group, could be a 8 out of 10 Frozzard Poggers rating, and it sounds like a fun perk. Guys, thank you so much for joining. This has been a new episode number 2 of Stuff with Froz. We talked about the PTB changes. We talked about my personal favorites of the new patch notes, perk changes for chapter number 14. We talked about balanced landing, no one left behind. So we talked about new perk changes. So we talked about new changes for Legion and Spirit. I gave my opinion on that. We talked about some other stuff that they changed, for example the hit protection event, and new content with the new killer coming out. Oni is his name, the new survivor Yui that will be also in the next chapter, a new map, and a lot of stuff going on. I see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode and if you want me to do more of these, please hit that like button, subscribe. I see you on Twitch in the live stream. Bye bye.